So I'm Ken Wright, and Nolan's asked me to talk a little bit about what we do up in Oregon. I've been a producer there since 1986, and over the years, as we got to know the area quite well, we were able to pick out great sources, great sites for Pinot Noir, where it has tremendous expression. And over the years, we saw there were certain areas that had specific traits of aroma and flavor that were consistent. Some of these regions now are known, they are in fact known AVAs now. They are legalized viticultural areas, if you will. The Dundee Hills, McMinnville area, Yamhill, Carlton, Chehala Mountains, Viola Hills, Ribbon Ridge are examples. What's tremendous about Pinot Noir is, as a plant, its ability to interpret its place, to connect you with a location and its particular qualities, I think is unparalleled. I can't think of anything that we consume, food or beverage, that is as remarkable as Pinot Noir in terms of having complexity, delineation. For us, that brought us to our format of producing wine, where we want to connect people to sites, to individual sites. In total, we have 12 now. Only 10 are offered at this point in time, but we have 12 that we're farming. And each of these locations has its own array of aroma, flavor, and texture, quite different from one from another. I know today that you were tasting through Freedom Hill, Savoia, and Meredith Mitchell. What they don't share is that they're not all the same type of parent material. Meredith Mitchell is volcanic, so it's basalt mother rock. What we see and notice is that every vineyard, from the point it's planted in the early years, there's a lack of defined qualities because the root system is not deep at that point in time. But when the root system gets deep enough to engage the mother rock, not the soil, below the soil, when it engages the mother rock, that's when the uptake of mineral occurs that creates these very specific aromas and flavors that are only found on that site. Meredith Mitchell, as an example, is basalt. Incredibly shallow soils, only 1 foot of soil before you are in the fractured volcanic material. And there you tend to have really bright red qualities in the wines, a little more structure. It's a cooler site, closer to the ocean than most of our locations, so it's a marine air influence. Freedom Hill also has that same marine influence, so it's cooler, but Freedom Hill is in marine sediments, old ocean. As a rule, what you find in our region is that those sites that are in the basalt, the flooding of lava that occurred in our area, when you plant Pinot Noir in basalt, it tends to be very fruit focused. When you plant Pinot Noir in marine sediments, you tend to see spice, floral qualities. And so Freedom Hill would have more of those elements, more of the spice, of clove, cardamom, anise, cola, things that are not fruit-based. Savoia is further inland than the other two, perhaps a tad warmer than the other two. As such, it will often tend to be a little fuller, a little less acidity, a little more lush at the very beginning of its life. We see a lot of really pretty blueberry, raspberry, but with an undercurrent of some of those spice qualities, because it is as well marine sediments. something that is attractive to folks who otherwise wouldn't jump right up to $50 a bottle.
I've always liked the canary. That spice and the weight and the earth to it that's always very charming. It really is.
We bought it.
Did you?
Yeah, we had it as coming to Oregon, one of the first things I realized is that there was a broken model of the relationship between the grower and the winery. In that, at that time, all fruit was sold by the ton. And as such, the grower's income was based upon the amount of tonnage they produced. In Oregon, it's critical that you control crop level. If you're buying by the ton, you can't. You can't diminish someone's income. It doesn't work. And so we immediately, in the following year, created, to our knowledge, the very first acreage contracts that I'm aware of in the United States. And so we went to the growers and said, listen, instead of paying you by the ton, we want to pay you by the acre. Okay, we're gonna designate certain blocks that will become ours. And we want the right contractually to be able to reduce the crop to whatever level we want. If we want to take every grape off every vine, it won't affect your income anymore. You're good. You're golden. And of course the growers were ecstatic. For the first time ever, they were able to plan on what their income would be. They actually knew what the income would be. And it wasn't being driven by Mother Nature, it was being driven by a contract that was solid. That really improved our relationship because now the only thing between us and our growers was how good can we be? How good can we get? Very, very positive change. Now, today, that is common in Oregon, very, very common. With all of the quality producers, this is the way relationships now exist. So that was big, being able to control crop level. It kept Oregon as an industry from being subject just to Mother Nature's whims, where if you had a cooler, wetter year with a big crop, the wines were not so compelling. And now you can control that by keeping the crop level down and create compelling wines every year. So that was a big change, I think, that was fundamental to the rise of quality in Oregon, which has been a steep rise. Also sorting, the advent of intense sorting lines, we brought that in 1986. That's common now to all producers. But Oregon, what many people don't realize the role Oregon's played with Pinot Noir around the world. The very first conference ever of Pinot Noir producers from everywhere, from Burgundy, California, British Columbia, from Switzerland, from Italy, and from Oregon, took place in Oregon. The very first conference called Steamboat. It was held at a fishing lodge in 1979. The Umpqua River is still held there every year. It's fantastic because it's a meeting of all the top producers in the planet. It has over the years been, and it's a private discussion of the issues that they are all facing around the world, and a very open discussion about how those problems might get solved. That started in Oregon, not in Burgundy, not in California, not in New Zealand. It started in Oregon. The IPNC, the very first Pinot Noir-based celebration, public celebration, happened in Oregon, in November of 1987. So the focus on all things Pinot Noir in Oregon has been fantastic, and the willingness to be collaborative, to share everything that we're learning with everyone else from anywhere on the planet has always been. That openness has really been huge, I think, in helping the industry gain, creating excellent